Well, hello there, my fellow functional adult, and good evening, and welcome to the click, my little laddies, lasses, and lassos. You all smell absolutely astounding today, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Yes, indeed, you guessed it right. The little keychain plushies are back in stock, but now they also glow in the dark. That is absolutely astounding. So even if you yeet them away so they land underneath a couch or something like that, you can still see them because they glow in the dark and they just light up your little world. Mwah. Absolutely gorgeous. Link down below. Don't miss it out and regret it for the rest of your mortal days. Speaking of things you may or may not regret, one thing that we have reviewed a lot of on this channel is insane parents content. And one thing that we have sniffed on a little bit before, but not gone into deep because my god, it's quite smelly. Not like you, because you just smell absolutely astounding. But this content is quite stinky indeed. You know those insane Facebook groups that seem to accumulate whatever kind of unhingedness there is out there in humanity? Everything from flat earth to wide conspiracy theories to oh my god, my child is sick, should I feed them I don't know, onions that have been stored inside of socks? Seems to be a thing for some reason. But one more unhinged type of these online groups is estranged parents. There are probably some instances when this kind of support is necessary. Families can go to poo for one reason or another, but a lot of things that come out of these groups are, oh my lord, they're very much out there. You know, when you have a mom going to Facebook and be oh my god, I ate my daughter's pets and now she won't talk to me even though I haven't done anything wrong. You know, those kind of posts, and then they get support from other estranged parents being oh my god, Susan, you didn't do anything wrong, honey. You know, those kind of posts. I have scoured the internet for the juiciest and most unhinged BS you can imagine and compiled it into this beautiful little video. Some of it has come from Facebook, some Reddit, and I also found a very nice account on Threads that kind of compiles this. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to take a look for yourself. And my god, is it juicy. So just sit back, strap in, and strap on, and let's get to it, baby. r/estranged adult child. Parents ambushing me at softball game. My sister told me about my mother posting this on Facebook the day after the softball game. I asked her to send me the screenshot so I could see for myself. Absolutely unbelievable. Not a single thing she wrote is true. So basically this parent ambushed this kid at their softball game and now they're venting about it on Facebook and actively lying about it. Okay, this is gonna be juicy, isn't it? Warm home? They wouldn't turn on the heat in winter. Food? The only food I could depend on was free school lunch in my aunt's house. Medical care? When? Bought me a car? I paid for it myself! After working for an entire summer as a camp counselor. I could go on and on. Nothing she wrote is true, and she will never accept the truth. She has ruined any remote chance at reconciliation with this post. I will never speak to either of them ever again. And here comes the juicy little post that we're talking about. Tell me this. Would you think this is a bad, traumatic childhood? You have a warm home, food, medical care, most everything you wanted. Everything you needed. You had horses, pets, friends, you participated in school activities, you were bought a car. No, it wasn't perfect. You were disciplined when it was warranted. Yes, indeed. Discipline. I wonder what these sort of disciplines were about at the end of the day. You were not abused or beaten. You had unconditional love and support from your parents, grandparents, siblings, and friends. I do very much love it when these sort of people use the term unconditional love, but then when the kid turns around and does something they don't like, they will post about them and lie about them on Facebook. What happened to the unconditional part of this unconditional love? Oh my god. You were protected from harm as best as we could, yet you walk away from us saying you had a bad childhood. What did we do to make it bad? We honestly don't know. We tried to do our best to make sure you were all happy and had everything you needed. Nobody is perfect. We make mistakes, but so do you too. I would expect them to make mistakes. They're a literal child. Kids don't come with instruction manuals. I mean, that last part in a vacuum is true, I guess. Kids aren't particularly easy, but if I were to believe the context around this post, also the fact that you made this post to begin with, makes me believe that maybe you are a little bit unbearable to be around. Anyone who would make a weird big venti vague post against their own kids on Facebook due to any context is probably someone who people cut ties with for good reason. Sane people don't do this. Estranged parents, Deborah. Normal, decent, and emotionally mature people do not discard people. Oh, look at those heart emojis and stuff. Oh, super powered mind doesn't Doesn't sound very superpowered now, does it? Normal, decent, and emotionally mature people do not discard people. Am I the only one who realizes how like of an underhanded insult this whole post is? It's like, if you don't want to be near me, it's because you're immature and stupid and nasty and a horrible person. And also, your consent to being with me or not doesn't matter, because if you say no, you're nasty, and I'm gonna have this little low-key harassment campaign against you. Isn't that, like, awfully convenient, isn't it? My god. Really? Right in front of my favorite bath bomb? Oh my god, this meme is so good. I have this one, but with Mudeng, saved on my phone. I send it to anyone whenever they say something outrageous. It's amazing. People are so sick of my Mudenging. But I am not. Meet me in the middle, says the unjust man. You take a step towards him, and he takes a step back. Meet me in the middle, says the unjust man. Yeah, that's sort of how it goes, isn't it? Quotes like this are always a bit cheesy, out of context, but if you ever experience these sort of people, you know it's so true. Oh my god, the moment you give them a finger, they just take the whole arm, and then they just keep chewing, baby.
6 of my 10 kids are estranged. Don't tell me it isn't an epidemic.
6 out of my 10 kids? Gee, if there only was something like, I don't know, a common denominator or something like that, maybe that could answer some of the questions. Also, you have 10 kids? Holy shite. Oh no, it keeps going.
Hi, I am new to this group. I recently joined because I have 6 estranged children. The stories are long, but we have 4 biological and 6 adopted, and out of that we have relationships with 4 of them. We do have grandchildren with some of the estranged that we do not know, and I think it's easier that we don't know them and never bonded with them. It's rough, and some days are really bad, but we're trying to give it our all to the 4 left. I am beginning to believe the common thread here is we said no to our children.
I know that most parents say no to their children, right? That's a pretty healthy thing to do. If this was truly the common denominator with every case like this, every single child in the world would be estranged. Oh my god, man.
You're not alone. You know, I'm beginning to think this is a prophecy being fulfilled. The Bible says in the end times, brother would turn on brother and children against their parents.
Wait a second, so this group has gone so far off the rails that instead of taking accountability for any of this stuff, they're literally quoting Bible verses about the apocalypse. It could only be that. Yeah, you're perfectly right.
Don't claim the lies you're hearing or feeling and maybe believing about yourself. We're all sisters with a heavenly Father who loves us. You are God's child.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, fam. If I had like a family member I thought was a little bit, too quirky, and I was like, hey, could you stop with this like insane levels of quirk when I'm around, and they started quoting Bible verses to me about the apocalypse, I'd probably peace out too, fam. I think my 22-year-old is watching rated R movies behind my back. What do I do? My 22-year-old is watching R movies. This gives me the same kind of vibes as those posts where they go like, oh my god, my 35-year-old child has a girlfriend, what do I do? Are they allowed to leave the house on their own? They're 35, by the way. Today is my daughter's 21st birthday, and it's been 22 months since we spoke. Since I was taking a nap and she came into my room 2 days after Christmas and recited a speech about boundaries and things that didn't even sound like her, and she said she was moving out in with her dad. I honestly just thought I would give her time. I then realized those words were her older sister's in therapy words, who was visiting for Christmas, and who graciously helped her move right out, and who is about the only one she talks to now. Although they were never close, my oldest daughter and I have struggled with one issue for about 7 years. Wait, okay, what is this one issue that you've struggled with for 7 years? Okay, but I'm guessing this post isn't elaborating, that's very convenient. And she has on occasion done things, in my opinion, to even the score. Or, they were just like a teenager or whatever. That's also entirely possible. Although I stand by my decision on that incident was a correct parenting decision. Okay, wait a second. What do you mean by incident? And what do you mean by applied parenting in this incident? And what do you mean by 7 years of problem and evening the score? This is like so purposefully vague but desperately trying to justify it. I think the reason why it's so purposefully vague is because they know how unhinged it would sound if they actually went into detail. Anyway, it's my baby's birthday. I miss her so much. It's my baby's birthday. Did you catch that? That they call their child their baby still, even though they're like a big adult proper person at this point. It's something reoccurring I've noticed with a lot of people that go unhinged in these sort of groups, that at the moment their kids become like their own people, and they can actually say no or do what they want and they're not under their control anymore, they kind of stop respecting them in a way you should respect another like adult person. It's just an interesting little thing I caught between the lines there. I miss her so much. I have no means to contact her, although I did get a card and will write a letter this time. I am shocked her dad seems to be supporting the separation, as I never would let them estrange themselves from him. He is their dad. Thank this group for letting me vent. I have never done it before and my baby deserves a birthday wish. Happy birthday, my Ellie. I love you. I am giving them their space, but I'm also gonna pester them on their birthday, disapprove about their decisions, call them my baby, talk about all these issues and 7 years of constant conflict, but I refuse to elaborate on that was about. Okay, well, there seems to be a lot of like unresolved stuff between the lines here. I hope Ellie has a good birthday anyway, like, oh my god, man. I think one thing that is always interesting with these sort of texts, right, is that on a surface level, they seem like pretty positive. It's like well wishes and like moving beyond things and that kind of stuff, but after a while, when you have seen these sort of things or experienced them yourself, you start to notice like the very manipulative twists in it. It's not elaborating on the things they did wrong themselves, or for example, I wouldn't do this to you if the roles were reversed. Also very convenient that that isn't actually what's happening, so it's like, it's easy to wish that you would do the same in theory when that isn't the practice that is actually happening. And also telling stuff like, I'm gonna give them their space because I'm the bigger person and blah blah blah, but I'm also gonna pester you on your special day so you're sure you're reminded that I exist and you have done something bad by moving away from me. You know, all these kind of little things that you know that this is very invasive and very manipulative and very aggressive, but it's always written in a way that makes it seem it's just like, oh my god, it's just a caring little parent or whatever. It's all very manipulative, and you learn to recognize those things after a while. It's just seeping from it. And these groups probably ban people that call it out in the group. I'm just gonna be honest. That's probably why it's just festering so bad. They could use a little bit of therapy instead of whatever this is. Holy shit, man.
I'm just a mom, waiting for other moms to question how 8 shots at once is okay, when babies can only try 1 food at a time. What do you mean? What do you mean babies can only try 1 food? What are you talking about? What do you mean? And why is it comparable? Proudly anti-vax, if we only knew before we sentenced one of our children to a lifelong issue. Oh my god, is this one of those like, our child got autism after getting a vaccine for the flu kind of posts? Is that what this is? Oh my god, man. Yep. Lord, hear our prayers. Open all eyes. Thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, before there's a bunch of demons in the world I need to get rid of. Facts.
What?
My son is almost 8 years old, has not had shots since he was 4, will never be getting any more. I staggered the shots he did get to where he never got more than 2 at a time, but still, I was forced by my ex to give him shots. He would not let me vaccinate my son. Now that my son and I are free from the abuser, I can thankfully raise my son the way I want to, out in the forest, eating pine cones and no vaccines.
What is so funny about this whole chain is that it reminds me so much of where anti-vax actually came from in the beginning. I think it was the what was his called? It was a doctor back in like the 90s or something called Andrew Wakefield, and he would claim that getting too many vaccines at once was too much for the kids, basically so he could just sell his own solution, and he created all this hype and scares around this whole thing with vaccines so he could sell his own solution. Of course, this was debunked, and this isn't real science, and, you know, I think he lost his license and everything, and the whole thing was a big heckin' debacle, but that's where the whole thing comes from originally. It's based on nothing. It was basically like a cash grab scheme, and people still believe it to this day. It is amazing. I'll leave some links down below if you're interested in looking into it further, because, man, it is a little bit of a rabbit hole, isn't it?
I know the feeling. If I knew then what I know now, my children would never get any shots.
Amen. Keep children pure blood.
Oh my god, we have gotten to the point where being vaccinated or unvaccinated equals racism. Are you a pure blood or not? That's something you can write on your Tinder profile. I'm sure you'll get a lot of matches.
Could you please send me a pic of my grandson?
You don't have one. Get lost. Oh my god, that... You should send them like one of those little like burn patches in the mail. I think they'll need it.
Help! This worm just came out of my toddler. We live in the woods and I'm thinking he ingested something out there. I'm reading about natural remedies, but does anyone have experience with this? Should I just take him to the doctor?
I would probably take my kid to the doctor if he was eating worms. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, fam. This is pretty bad. What do you mean? It's probably parasites or something. Get him to the doctor, please. Why are people like this allowed to be parents? Oh my god.
A proposition. We mothers, and fathers too to a somewhat smaller extent, are the victims of this brutal estrangement epidemic in the US. It is aided and abetted by therapists and social media.
Ah, the social media part, that would be me. Hello. Say hi to YouTube.
What if a counter-movement were started to promote loving and valuing mothers?
I think that's pretty much the default in society. No, like Mother's Day and all that jazz, or like family Christmas, etc., etc. Like, it's a pretty normalized thing. Most people want to get along with their family. Stuff like estrangement doesn't just happen overnight. It's usually something that happens over years and years and years of very strained relations and one party's unwillingness to change and the other party finally moving on for their own health and safety. This isn't something that just happens overnight. I'm also like intrigued in wondering what this counter movement would be. What are you gonna do? Just harass kids that moved away from their parents after years of crappy relations? Like that? That doesn't sound like a good cause, man.
I think this might be best promoted by adult children, especially those who see the damages caused by siblings who have estranged from mothers who, while flawed human beings, were devoted, loving mothers.
I see, they're just flawed, but they're devoted and loving, so those flawed things don't count. So you're basically gonna turn people's families into flying monkeys. That's what I'm getting from this. What a good charity. Hell yeah.
I'm not talking about abusive mothers. This is a different story. I'm talking about us.
Yeah, no one in this group is ever abusive.
Perhaps clergy and therapists could join in on this crusade to stop this horrific assault on the people who are the backbone of decency, devotion, and kindness in family life. Mothers. As the mother of an only child, I have no other kids to engage in such an effort.
Oh, what a shame.
How about any of the rest of us here? Maybe we even have religious leaders and therapists among our ranks. Maybe some have connections to the media, TV, radio, even social media to promote a Save the Mom campaign.
What is this? This is amazing.
End estrangement now. Start talking, not walking, as no one will answer from the grave.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. I don't think anyone wants estrangement. Estrangement is never like a fun thing. Like, oh my god, I'm just gonna cut ties with some family members because of the fun of it. It's usually because it's the less painful option. I hate when people make this kind of comparison. I see the same thing in like abortion debates. Usually, for most people, abortion isn't something fun. You know, it's not something like, oh, better go get an abortion, yippee. It's a difficult decision. A lot of people, even if they go through it because for their own good and whatever, are still scarred by it. It is a difficult thing to do, just like this is a very difficult thing to do, but the alternative is way worse. That's why people do it, and this is what you don't understand. Also, no one will answer from the grave. It's like, the guilt tripping in here is also amazing.
Maybe when I'm dead, you're gonna miss me or whatever.
Jesus Christ, man.
As we know, it's ultimately better for parents and adult kids and grandkids when people try to resolve differences and restore family ties.
Am I the only one who finds it a bit ironic that this whole text that is talking about restoring family ties and stuff puts all the weight on the kid that decided to walk and not on the parent that decided to never change their behavior? That's kind of interesting, isn't it? My god, man.
Any ideas on making this campaign a reality?
Not only in the US, it is rapidly growing in the UK too. Those people not experiencing this trauma doesn't believe it exists and that the parents are truly toxic. Thank you all you therapists for destroying the family units. Oh my god. Is this a war of therapy now? We should ban therapy, because I don't like when they call out, oh, I'm damaging my child. Hell yeah, baby. Other countries too. In US it is particularly rampant. How do we counter it? Aren't there therapists, clergy people, celebrities, average citizens touched by this plague? This is a great idea. It's a matter of finding people who will promote this. Someone who is popular on social media or celebrities. Pass. Sadly, would get through a lot of them more than siblings. Having therapists promoting this would probably make some impact too. Man, I can just imagine like the new sponsored segments I'm gonna have in videos. Do you have an estranged child you wanna harass? Do they watch my channel? I'll call out a personal message to them in the middle of a video. Man, what an absolute heart attack. Holy No more like wholesomely calling out people's names randomly. I was like, Jessica, how dare you not call your mother, Jessica? She didn't mean it when she stole your pets, Jessica. Man, that was like an interesting, very vivid image I had in my head there for a second. Dear God, for only $2,000, you can put a nasty little message for your child in a click video. Man, the grift is real. I would be rich, man.
So the question is, how/where to make this initiative a reality?
YouTube sponsorships, baby. YouTube sponsorship. This is gonna be the new Raid Shadow Legends. This video is sponsored by Estranged Parents Facebook group. Here's messages to all their kids. Better go for it, man. I have realized over the past 3 years, since she was a teenager, she was not a nice person to me. Demanding, judgmental, selfish. I mean, sounds like being a typical teenager, honestly. Like, that's just hormones galore. I think most people are expecting that. I love her and miss my sweet little girl. She's not gonna go back to being a sweet little girl. I mean, being a teenager hardly lasts forever, but the next step is like adult. She's not gonna be a little baby again, okay? But not that person who has constantly made me feel inadequate and held me to absurd standards. I bought a Harley last month, living my life now. Oh my God, my teenager is a bit of a hassle around the house, so I'm just gonna go ham on this like crisis thing, and I'm gonna run away on my motorcycle. I mean, getting a motorcycle is fine. You know, there can be conflict in family that isn't like so intense that you would literally cut ties or whatever, and sometimes you simply don't get along in a household. This is something I've seen with friends, for example, or colleagues or whatever, that has really good relationships with their parents when they're adults and they don't have to share a household, but things were strained when they were a teenager, for example, because they had very different ideas about how a household should run. They clashed a lot about really petty things at the end of the day. That can definitely be an aspect to it. Not every disagreement is grounds for like, you know, oh, everything is nuclear and blow everything up. But you also have a teenager at home. Like a little bit of a struggle is probably to be expected, right?
Has anyone else considered taking your estranged child to court for mental/emotional
abuse? The idea keeps popping up in my mind. Oh, yes, indeed. Nothing like rekindling those sweet family bonds, quite like suing your child, baby. Yes, indeed. Oh my God, isn't this just some insane levels of projection, isn't it? Like, you're gonna sue the person who you mistreated to the point they cut you out of their life. For what? Mistreating you? You not putting up with my abuse is abuse. They're actually serious. Oh no. If my mom has truly changed, then that means she was always capable of change, but I just wasn't worth changing for. Oh my God, that is so sad. I mean, some people in life, I've had this happen around me as well, not in family, but in other instances, where people, for example, deal with very serious mental health issues. And then once they get help for it later down the line, they turn around and they become more well-adjusted individuals because they have the proper assistance and tools for it, and they have figured out what is going on, that sort of thing. So I suppose, in my opinion at least, stuff like this can have a lot of nuance depending on the position, who it's about, and what was actually done. You know, how serious was the things they were doing. But at the end of the day, it's up to you if you want someone in your life or not, and if they decided to change for someone else but not decide to change for you, then it sounds like they just want you there, but they don't want to put in the effort for it. So a lot of nuance, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't be forced to have someone in your life that is detrimental to it.
I would like him to have sheriffs serve him papers like they did to me. I would like him to have to take the day off work to appear in court like I did. I would like him to be maybe not even show up so I would win the case. I would like him to possibly be pushed to actually have his answer the question of why he's doing this. Not about money, although I could certainly throw that in too. Not looking to reconcile. It will never happen.
Wait a second. What did you actually get served with? The thing with these stories is that they always keep it purposefully vague because I think they know that if they clarified what it was actually about, everyone would see that they're just absolutely abhorrent. Oh my God. Because I'm gonna be honest in cases like this, at least how legal systems work regarding this stuff, as far as I know, hashtag disclaimer, not an expert, but based on what I've heard from others, I don't think it would actually go all the way to court if it was just like a nonsense case. You know, it has to go through like some level of review and that kind of stuff to go to that serious extent. It sounds weird that you were served, it got brought all the way to court. It sounds from this post that you actually lost the case, and now you want to like do something back and serve them for something. What is it that you did that you got actually served and sentenced for? That's the wildest thing. Like, if you read between the lines on this, you have actually been sentenced for something. in this case. And maybe it's just a civil case, maybe it's just something like a restraining order or something like that if they have been really harassy, but yeah, these texts like look really bad if you start reading a bit between the lines, because oh my god, this is where I am. I apologize if I was ever a toxic person in your life. I am maturing more every day, correcting my wrongs and slowly but surely becoming a better version of me. Just kidding. Go f*** yourself. Oh, I am proving that I am the mature one in this instance. Eat shit, dear child. I don't care anymore. That's why I'm making this Facebook post.
This is where I have been at for many years. I wouldn't open my front door if they were crawling towards it on bloody stumps. That's the truth. I wish my children bled out on the street while begging me for mercy.
I can't believe people are making these posts with what I'm assuming are their real names attached to them. Holy f***ing shit, man. And then there are in these groups actually supporting it. Oh my god.
Horrific. We should stage a mass funeral for all our lost children. Maybe that will get somebody's attention.
Yeah, because somebody wanting space from you, the best thing is to cause a giant scene about it. That will surely make them feel that they made the wrong decision about living their life in peace. Surely. Mine is due to daughter-in-law who thinks she is a psychiatrist, but didn't even go to university. Suppose Google is the professor. I don't expect my estranged son to take our side, but I do expect him to stand up for us like we did for him throughout his life. If I hear the word boundary again, I will scream.
You see, my boundary is not respecting other people's boundary. That is a very, very reasonable boundary.
I was pregnant with him for 9 months, helped him through 37 years. He was born into my boundary. Holy oh my, okay, that sounds a little bit possessive. You know that your kid is their own human being, right? Right? And you were the one who chose to have a kid. They're not like your property. What do you mean born into your boundary? It was your choice, fam. Oh my god. How do I get out of it? It's the biggest part of my life. Nope, not getting out then. He will have to carry on and pay his own way. I was heartbroken and still cry, but now I'm just mad at him. Well, that doesn't sound very healthy at all. Maybe you should talk to someone instead of venting about your child on Facebook. And like, I don't know, talking about how when you give birth to them, they were inside your boundary and stuff, which sounds incredibly possessive. What is this post, man?
My 17-year-old daughter has increasingly become more emo. I know this is just a phase, but she assures me it isn't. Is there a way to cleanse her, or should I begin to punish her for her ways?
Hey there, Cora. My teenager is trying to figure themselves out and are trying some alternative fashion choices. Should I perform an exorcism on them? Thank you. What is with these parents, man? They were teenagers themselves at some point in their life. Did you just forget what it's like being a teenager? God, she'll be like all grown up in 3 years. Come on, give it a break.
This is why our children become estranged, angry emoji. I do not agree with 3 and 6, angry emoji. And it's totally okay for our estranged children to do these to us, heartbroken emoji.
Signs of a toxic mother. Number 1, self-centered. They minimize your needs and or feelings, often turning it back on how they feel. Number 2, they're emotionally loose cannons. They overreact, react on the defensive, or create drama. You know, like the caption that reposted this in one of these groups with a bunch of angry emojis and stuff, alright. Number 3, they use you as their main emotional support. They may overshare their personal or intimate details. When things aren't going their way, they will call on you to listen and possibly fix the situation. Wait a second. So you don't agree with number 3. You try to use your kids as like your emotional crutch and share overly intimate details with them. Okay, that's a wild thing to put in your caption. Number 4, they are controlling. They use guilt, manipulation, favors, or money to get you to do what they want or follow their plan. Number 5, harsh criticism. Nothing you do is correct or good enough. They never recognize or praise the good traits, achievements, or good deeds you have accomplished. Number 6, lack boundaries. And that was the second one this poster disagreed with, apparently. They may insert themselves in choices and situations, including relationships, jobs, parenting, etc. They may come over unannounced or go through your personal belongings. So you disagree with number 3, emotional support and lack boundaries. That is pretty bad. So you're posting this and basically admitting to just, I don't know, going through your kids' things, coming over unannounced and trying to control who they're friends with, relationships and jobs and stuff. This is really bad. What kind of a self-call-out is this?
I have a lot to say here. Number 1, we aren't allowed to feel or share in that mutual discussion. If not, then don't bring up the subject.
So that's a self-centeredness, okay.
Number 2, how I react is based on the other person. So if they can decide how we're gonna play and if it doesn't suit them, they might want to decide to play different.
That was their emotional loose cannons. Yeah, but the other person is a literal child. Like when I babysit my nephew, I don't start screaming and kicking on the floor if he is screaming and kicking on the floor, okay? One person is a child, the other one is not. Although to be fair, like reverse psychology works surprisingly well and it's really funny. Like one time he refused to put on his PJs and I was like, okay, I'll wear them instead. And I started putting on his PJ pants. He was like, no, they're mine. And then he put on his PJ pants. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep reading this important text, shall we?
Number 4, there is something to be said for perception. I'm very good to my kids and their kids. I expect nothing except respect and consideration. If that goodness I extend is interpreted otherwise, then that's on them.
So that's number 4, that's about respect. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I have really ever encountered it IRL, like with friends or my own situations where there are like functional family coalitions where parents just demand respect. That's like a really weird thing, man. I think that goes for life in general. I'm gonna be honest, most of the time people, at least that I decide to keep around me, don't demand respect. They earn it if they are respectable people. And that goes the other way around too. I don't go around demanding respect from people. If people want to respect me because of like what I do or the way I'm there for them or whatever, that is their prerogative. But you don't go around demanding respect. That is weird.
Number 5, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, little ones. I will be the first to praise all your goodness and the first to call you out when you're wrong.
Oh, so that's the harsh criticism. First to call you out when you're wrong. Okay, that sounds kind of harsh, yeah?
Number 6, insert themselves as be part of your life, look out for you, give advice. Since this isn't our first rodeo and we've likely been there, done that, whatever that is, and talk to you about things other than the weather, that's called family, not inserting yourself. Shaking my head.
Yeah, but there's a difference between inserting yourself and being controlling or trying to decide things for them versus like bouncing ideas with them or talking about stuff or like, talking about becoming an adult or what to think about when you're applying for your first job or whatever. Like there's a vast difference between mentoring and controlling. And there's also a difference between like letting them do small mistakes on their own or stepping in when something starts to get seriously bad. There's a nuance to all these things, but I guess that's not a thing in these groups, so I digress, I suppose. The horrible son-in-law's estranged dad's husband birthday was last week. We mailed him a birthday card with a generous gift card enclosed because, well, when they go low, we go high. No acknowledgements, crickets. We assume he received it as it hasn't been returned.
Don't expect anything more. Take the high road and text back, "You're welcome," and leave it at that. Nothing more.
Wait, that's taking the high road? I would love to see what it's like when you decide to take the low road. Update, I received a tears text about an hour ago. Thanks for the gift card. So... You were so eager to go and vent in this stupid little Facebook group about this letter you sent. And they did receive it and did text you thanks, but you were so eager to just vent about them in this group, about them not texting you, that you did it prematurely. That is so embarrassing. And you didn't even take the post down, you just commented under it. Oh my god, I wonder why maybe you don't have as good relations with them as you would like. Maybe this post has something to do with that. No?
It was a great day for me yesterday. I split my estranged son college fund between his 2 siblings and closed his Young Savers account. I opened it before he was born. And I'm using the funds for a car repair I need. Like rewarding myself for this BS pain and suffering. Yay is me. Smiley, a bunch of likes.
I would like to take my daughter off the title of my house, but I guess it's not.
This is so weird. This is so weird. This group is not about support. This is not about like, oh my god, it's tough, going through breakups or families not working out or whatever. This isn't support groups. This is people like gassing each other up about being petty little vengeful f***s. Oh my god, man. Yeah, I can see why your family didn't work out. Jesus Christ. And just to be clear, if you don't have contact with a family member and they don't want to have contact with you, I don't think anyone is expecting you to like support them or whatever. At least that's not something I would expect. So having this kind of weird vent post about it is really strange, because if you were just like, oh, they want nothing to do with me and I want nothing to do with them, I guess I'll stop this like automatic transfer or the saving or whatever. But instead it's like this super petty, vengeful stuff, which leads me to believe that this was just something you held over their head in the first place. It's like if you decide not to be near me or you stand up for yourself, I'm gonna take away everything I can. That is not a functional, healthy relationships. That is what controlling abusers do, okay?
I hope what she did to me will haunt her for the rest of her life.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, good one.
Normal? But why? Why is it normal to cut ties with your parents? This is just giving people the license to become estranged from family. May God help us.
Yes, it's not normal to me, of course, in any way, but they are normalizing it with all these articles that are coming out.
Yeah, so very sad. Our media is making people sick.
I mean, I half agree with that one. Don't get me wrong. Probably not for the same reasons, though. Oh my god, I just had this insane realization. Have you realized that these posts have the same vibe as those, like, neckbeards and stuff? They're always like,
I'm so upset that women choose not to be with me.
It's like, these are like the incels of the family life. It's insane, isn't it? It's the exact same attitude. It's fucking wild.
My teenage son is 17 years old. Can I allow him to have his laptop in his room?
I mean, probably, yeah. Unless he's using it to, I don't know, deal drugs in your neighborhood or whatever. Like, yeah, it's probably fine. Like, what are you so worried about? Playing video games and, like, adult videos? Yeah, he's 17. That's probably gonna happen.
How many mamas have had your estranged child label you as a narcissist?
48 likes, 71 comments. Oh my god, man, no. No.
Yes, toxic narcissist, much worse. She belongs to a subgroup on Reddit where they support each other being no contact with their parent. Total strangers supporting each other when they know nothing about the family dynamics.
Isn't that what this is? I was just about to say that. Oh my god, that is the most ironic post I have ever seen in my godforsaken life. That is so funny. And I've been doing this job, reading unhinged stuff on the internet for quite a few years now, but on occasion I still see this little beautiful post that just leaves me flabbergasted and laughing. Oh, yeehaw, there is still excitement in the world.
Yes, but she's a spoiled brat. She's 55, and life should have taught her a lesson or two.
Oh, so you're still very demeaning towards your child. When they're 55, holy shit, they're old enough to be a grandma. Jesus Christ, lady.
Me. I am toxic, passive-aggressive, and manipulative. I'm waiting for the narcissist label.
I'm gonna be honest, this comment, this seeps of passive-aggressiveness.
Not yet, but I am controlling. She lives across the country from me, and I feel like you love has too many conditions. I don't know why it's so hard for you to love me unconditionally, which came out of the blue. I do believe she may be a narcissist, though.
Damn. Makes me so angry. My daughter and I were really close and had lots of fun together until she started therapy. Then everything changed and instantly I am the reason for anything going wrong in the planet. Same with me. My ED and I had a great relationship until she started therapy. She did a 180 overnight. We have been estranged 4 years and have an 8-month-old grandson I'll probably never meet. Exactly the same. My ED told me her therapist had to stop a session because she was crying after being told what my ED told her about her childhood. I told her she needed to get a new therapist. Okay, so the therapist was too soft. If the therapist says something, oh my god, this is so messed up. It's like,
You need a new therapist. One that isn't a snowflake.
wow, that's a pretty insane comeback. I have a friend that is a counselor and told her what happened. She said it's the new thing in society. Yes, indeed, a friend who is a counselor, so also not a therapist. I'm guessing in this case because you used a therapist like this before when it was your ED talking to a therapist, but a counselor is fine. And it's also your friend, and I'm guessing they got a little bit of a biased story. So, yeah, I'm not sure how much I trust that one. A therapist encouraging not to heal but rather erase family is just so sick and cruel. Honestly, I think it's just something healthy about life in general. Sometimes you meet people that you either grow apart with or people that are simply not good for your health. This can go for relationships or friends or bad work environments, or sometimes if you're unlucky, it can also happen with family. That doesn't mean that you should just go around cutting people off for the slightest disagreement. Part of growing up also comes with handling conflict and standing up for yourself. And a lot of the time, those kind of conflicts aren't stuff that you like cut people off for. But if it's genuinely people that refuse to change, they don't want to meet you halfway on everything, it's a constant battle and a constant fight and just draining every single time, then, you know, going low contact with them probably is like what's gonna save you the most energy in the long run. There is a difference between occasional conflicts and not agreeing on everything versus like being a constant drain and negatively affecting someone's life. There is like a vast difference here, and there is a line that definitely gets crossed in a lot of these cases.
You can't just cut people off. Me, snip, snip, snippity fucking snip. I kicked my 15-year-old daughter out of the house because she got her nose pierced. I don't know where she is. It's been 1 month. Should I go to the police?
Please be fake. This post has to be fake. Oh my god, someone received a long letter. Okay, so the context to this is, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing by cutting out my mom? Sounds like she's involving the whole family if I do. Okay, so let's read the letter and then we'll read the whole context around it, I suppose. I hope that you are doing well, ? I have no way of knowing since you never contact Grandpa and me. I guess you don't want to be a part of this family any longer. This makes me very sad. I know that Grandpa and I would do anything for you. You seem to want to shut us all out of your life for whatever reason. I guess it has to do with your mom. All I know is that your mother loves you very much. She did her best she knew in how raising you. You never seemed to lack anything. You weren't abused, as you would like to make everyone believe. You are hurting everyone in this family very much. This whole text is just emotional manipulation 101. This is really bad. You making this decision makes me feel bad. It's hurting me. You are lying about us. You were not abused, etc., etc. It's like, it's really nasty, and I'm not like halfway through it even. Trust me, my mother wasn't the best mother, but I never shut her out of my life. I will tell you what she told me. Unless you walk in my shoes, do you have the right to judge me? What? What are you talking about? You definitely have the right to judge people, even if you haven't walked in their shoes. Like, imagine if I did some kind of, I don't know, crypto pump and dump scheme and costed a bunch of my followers a bunch of money. I would definitely be expected to call out for that. Imagine if my defense was like, you haven't walked in my shoes, being a YouTuber is so difficult. Get out of here. Come on. Being a mother is not easy. Trust me, I have made mistakes. Children do not come with a manual. Oh wow, that seems to be a sentence that is repeated a lot in these posts. That is kind of fascinating. You know, yeah, raising kids is definitely tricky, but you know, there are certain boundaries that should never be crossed. We do the best we are capable of. You may someday figure that out if you ever blessed to be a mother. It's time to put your big girl panties on and get over with whatever you're holding on to. So this post, okay, I'm gonna pause a little bit here. This text has already said how much she's hurting them, how sad they are about it, how they have never mistreated them. They did the best they could without specifying what actually happened, but the mother did the best she could. That means that anything should be forgiven. And also they're being immature about this, and they are insulting their level of maturity. This is like half the text so far, and this is what I've picked up so far. This isn't how you talk to a fellow adult human if you want to reconcile a relationship, okay? This sounds like you trying to scold a 10-year-old. Adults typically don't respond very well to being treated like 10-year-olds. To be frank, most 10-year-olds wouldn't respond positively to this, and for good reason. It's time you put your big girl panties on and get over with whatever you're holding on to. If it's something in the past, how can it be fixed? You shutting everyone out does not fix a thing. Okay, so something did happen. You're not apologizing, but you're immature if you're holding on to it, and you just have to let it go if it's something in the past. But the thing is, of course, that it's very rarely just something in the past. It's usually something that is in the past, but also in the present. It's something that is kind of repeating and never changing. I hate that I have to write you a letter, but I would have called if I hadn't gotten through everything I wanted to say without crying. There is also the possibility you would have hung up on me. I hope you really listen to what I have written. Yeah, it's pretty bogus. You're probably thinking, Grandma, mind your own business. Well, it is my business when it affects me and the whole family. This affects every holiday, birthday, and every family event. It breaks my heart to have to write these things to you. I love you so much. We need to get back to being a family. I pray that we can find a way. I would love to see you again, as you know Grandpa and I are not getting any younger. Love, Grandma. That love at the end was the only loving thing in this entire letter, I swear to God. For years, I, 26, gone on and off contact with my mom, 44. She refused to admit she used to beat me. She would either kick and slap me or throw items at me, such as bobbleheads I collected, a TV once, and drawers from my dresser. Yeah, that sounds a bit abusive, doesn't it? Very convenient that your grandma doesn't acknowledge it. She would track me before and throughout college and would punish me if I was in places she didn't like, go through all my things, read my text every night until I moved out at 18, among other things. She is on her 4th husband, and I have been there through all of them. I am not in contact with most of her exes, including my bio dad. I recently eloped with my partner, 28, of 6 years. I was never allowed to speak his name because she hated him since before I met him. He sold weed in high school. Yeah, compared to throwing stuff at your kids and hitting them and stuff, selling weed in high school is pretty harmless, yeah. The first time she met him, she secretly went through his bag, found an empty grinder, threw it at us and screamed at both of us about how he was a piece of poo. She was not invited to the elopement, only my best friend was, and this created a huge rift. She did let me know all the things she wanted to do for my wedding, like pick out my dress, have her dad walk me down the aisle, etc. And I told her it's my wedding, I'm allowed to do what I want. Since she's never supported a relationship in 6 years, she's not invited to celebrate it. Yeah, that's a very ironic thing, right? Speaking of the list of like the toxic mother being very controlling and wanting to decide stuff for your wedding, but she hasn't supported a relationship at all. In fact, she is like verbally and physically attacked you both in the past. Like, damn. Yeah, no, I don't think you're entitled to have anything to say in this wedding, ma'am. I have slowly told her less and less about my life because she doesn't approve and has comments about everything. She then will throw things I share with her in my face when she's mad. The first time I cut her out of my life was in 2020 for about 6 months. I started talking to her again before Christmas and showed up to my grandparents with them, guilted into visiting. And the entire family yelled at me, trapping me in the house for about 4 hours for what I did to her by not talking to her. It's been a mess since then, and since I eloped, she yelled at me and told me to let her know when I would like to be a part of the family again. I since have started ignoring her text and cut her off. It's been really relieving. But I got a letter from my grandma this week that has really triggered me. For the record, my grandma was obviously not there when my mom was abusing me, but now my sister is also on their side and it's just making me doubt myself. I mean, that is a very typical strategy of people like this. They have the people around them, they convince you are the bad person because they got to them first and they have been spinning these stories for years and years and years and years while you have been distant. It's really easy to cook up stories and people giving them the benefit of the doubt when no one is actually in the room to defend themselves. This is a very commonly occurring thing. And also like twisting events, like retelling stories, like what happened and what didn't happen and how it happened is also incredibly common with these sort of people. This is more common than you think, and it sucks absolute butt. My grandma has never reached out to me via text or otherwise, but paid to make sure I had to sign that I got this from the post office. Yeah, that's also one of those little invasive touches that is so common in these situations. They want to make sure that they have a read receipt, that you received it, you know? So it's not just a text and you can just turn off read receipts. They really want to make sure that you know that they know that you got it. Am I doing the right thing? How do I not feel guilty? I thought I would only be cutting out my mother, and now it's like the whole family is involved. The stress of keeping this relationship with her was slowly eating me alive. Constantly watching what I say, constantly being belittled and told me I'm not good enough. I just feel like I can't handle it. You are definitely doing the right thing. And this is something from experience as well, I can say with a big amount of confidence. People like this are usually not alone. They have a tendency to involve as many people as they can, which means that people that you both have in common, like for example family and friends and that stuff, a lot of people will see through it. A lot of people will be like, why are you doing this? This is absolutely unhinged. What are you up to? But some people who are closer to them or have emotional ties with them, or for example like their own mom who doesn't want to see the bad sides of her, very much can take her side in it. I know plenty of these kind of stories and examples where cutting off, for example, just one parent means losing contact with an entire side of a family, because people either don't step in or they start becoming her flying monkeys, or they do what this grandma did and just try to like belittle your side of the story while also making you feel as bad as possible and just seeping with manipulation. This letter is just your own mom talking through your grandma. This is not an actual honest relationship. So cutting this off doesn't actually cost you anything in that case. And also they will keep running errands for your mother in this case anyway. So spending time with them is gonna be like this massive paranoia game, because you don't know what you're gonna be able to share with them if they're gonna leak it back to your mom and she's gonna use it as a weapon against you. So that's a very sad reality about situations like this. It often becomes a bigger thing than just the one person you intended to cut off, which is a very sad side effect of it, but there isn't that much you can do about it. I would say you have a loving partner. That is your core family now. You're eloped, you're probably gonna have a family in the future if you're into that kind of stuff, but you have friends, you have your new core family. This is where your focus in life is. And you're your full adult, you're fully independent, and people that speak to you like this do not have your best interest at heart. And you probably have been emotionally invested with them at some point in your life, but people that speak to you in this way do not have your best interest at heart. Someone who genuinely wants to rekindle a relationship with a fellow adult that should be kind of a peer, don't speak to them this way. No one that has your best interest at heart and is genuinely there for you talks to you this way. They want you to fold and they want you to be under their control. This is not a genuine conversation. This letter is awful. So I wish you the best of luck, but you're definitely making the right choice. Forward, from your mother's therapist. Dear Blorp, my name is Blorp and I am a mental health therapist in Blorp. Your mother and I have been working together since October last year. She initially came as a response to her estrangement from you. Since then, she has done considerable and impressive work. She has let me know that you do not want to have communication with her at this time. However, she has written a letter for you that I would like to invite you to read. If you are agreeable, I will send it to you. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'm gonna be honest, I think this kind of lands outside the ethics stuff when it comes to therapy. I don't think therapists are supposed to run like errands of dirty work for their clients when people have like cut off their clients. This is... No. From your mother's therapist. Dear Blorp, a few weeks ago I reached out to you via email introducing myself as your mother's therapist. Again, you're invited to have me send that letter she written to you. Thank you for your time and consideration. I would greatly appreciate it if you would kindly acknowledge receipt of this email. Who's this therapist, man? This is what therapists are supposed to do. Oh my god, you don't run dirty work errands for your clients. Jesus Christ. A request for your mom's therapist, please. Hi, Blorp. I hope this email finds you and Blorp healthy and doing well. I'm not writing this to talk about your mom. I only want to determine if you did receive emails from her therapist, blorp@gmail. She's wanting to share some things with you about the work that has been doing to your mom. Even if you don't want to engage with her, will you let her or me know that her emails have at least reached you? Thanks. Jesus Christ, yeah. So you finally got rid of your parent that you didn't want to have contact with, and now she's literally turned like her therapist and another person into her own little flying monkeys that are just trying to harass you on her behalf. Well, that is great. If this therapist is actually licensed, I would probably complain to someone about this. This is not what therapists are supposed to do. Holy shite. Florence Flo Harrelson, death announcement. Glenburn. Florence Flo, 65, formerly of Chelsea, died on February 22nd, without family by her side, due to burnt bridges in a wake of destruction left in her path. Florence did not want an obituary or anyone, including family, to know she died. That's because even in death, she wanted those she terrorized to still be living in fear, looking over their shoulders. So this isn't so much an obituary, but more of a public service announcement. Is this real? Wait, is this actually... That is absolutely wild. I mean, taking this at face value, that it is real, imagine being so petty about people you have been mean to that you don't want them to know you died, so they still have to be paranoid about you coming after them. Jesus Christ, petty beyond the grave.
Dad, I hope you don't share a house with black people. It is unsafe and unhygienic. Remember, don't cut your hair. Pretty girls all have long hair.
Oh my god, how a small little screenshot of someone's notifications can tell you so much about a person. Isn't that... Well, it's not beautiful. Isn't that horrendous? Well, laddies, lasses, and lasses, I do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed having you here, despite the unhingedness and wowsy, some of these posts were really out there, weren't there? If you need some little emotional support this beautiful, cold, little dark winter, there is glow-in-the-dark little beautiful mini plushies in the description. You should get them now. They also glow in the dark. They're very cute, and you can do this. Absolutely amazing. So I will see you in the very near future. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Mwah.